Hello and welcome to our second quarterly report for 2019. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, is this just gonna be an admission that sometimes goals don't work out? But I think that there's definitely some positives we can take from this quarter. So, this is going to be as balanced a report as it can be, considering that I came to some realizations, and some things just don't work out the way you planned. Other things are very awesome. So, let's get into the journal, starting with our monthly big events. So, surprisingly, quite a few big events occurred in the second quarter, which of course is April, May, and June. So I mentioned towards the end of the first quarterly report that just into the second quarter my parents headed international, and that is true. I drove them to the airport, and then, well, actually they drove to the airport because I then had to drive back. And I would have been very tired driving both ways. And what's sort of interesting is because they then returned for the month of June, and just into this third quarter, they drove to the airport and I drove myself back again. So, that's cool. So we have my parents heading international in April as well. My brother moved across the country, and suddenly I found myself with an apartment to myself. So that's a big difference. Additionally, at work, the second half of my job started again, which was the walking tours, started again in April, which was very nice. Not a lot of big events in May. Starting to get settled into the space. Didn't really do that well until the third quarter, so that will have to wait. But things were looking cool. And June, everything sort of went wee, but in a good way. Which is to say, like I said, my parents came back for a visit, and it turns out they had been scheming with my best friend, Rach, for several months, and so she and her husband came down to visit. I was not expecting June to take this turn. I was expecting my 26th birthday to be in there. Officially, the official graduation ceremony would have been in there. So we took some grad pictures and had a dinner. And then my best friend showed up and I was like, ah! But you've seen that previous video. That is that birthday surprise video. So, but it's definitely worth mentioning because we then skipped to our 19 goals for 2019. Hi, the cat has joined us now. She was comfortably laying in the other room and heard me talking to a camera, and we just can't have that. Cat, will you stop? You're moving the camera. I'm gonna move the camera so it's slightly more stable. Here. The 19 goals for 2019. Goal 17. Visit Rach. Rach visited me. So I've actually achieved, I was going to say, 2 goals. So we had 2 completed last quarter. In the first quarter, that was graduate and get my G2. And then in the second quarter, we have completed Book and Page Season 2. It was fully posted, finished up about mid-June, which is fantastic. Actually, wait, no, sorry, correction, 3 goals. Because in April, we also did VEDA. Now, it wasn't a perfect VEDA run. There were definitely some days that we missed things. But we completed Book and Page in June. We completed VEDA in April. And also in June, Rach came to visit. So we have completed now a total of 5 out of our 19 goals, which is just very exciting. And we have been working as well as we can towards some of the other ones. So keeping up with the journal, keeping up with the Friday videos, and keeping up with my blog. And I will fully admit that in June, I missed 2 days, like 2 weeks consecutively, because with people visiting and just work kicking up into high gear, I had to make some choices. And again, moving into the third quarter, I've started to try and make some changes with myself to make sure I'm checking in with myself and taking care of myself. Because I will also admit that towards the end of June, I unfortunately had one of the worst anxiety attacks that I really have had. And it was a wake-up call that I haven't been paying attention to what my physical and mental health needs. So I'm definitely making some changes going forward that I'm really hoping are going to help. But that's fantastic. So we are working through some of these. The other one I want to mention is I have submitted a piece of writing, which is good. So, this is the one we're going to have to talk about. Okay, so the writing still hasn't gone well. And in fact, I think it's gone worse than it went in the first quarter. Mainly because I had this realization that I'm not happy with my Beasts of Battle trilogy. And it's one of those ones where I'm really struggling with it because, of course, your first works are never going to be perfect, amazing pieces. I think what's really hard on me on this one is I really want to go back to the beginning. So back to Wolves and start reworking everything. But I also want to take a break from the series because I'm already feeling down about it not being complete yet. So the idea that I need to tear it all down and start from the beginning, I think might sit better with me if I can do other writing first. The problem is, again, and I've recognized this with my mental and physical health problems, that I haven't been making time for certain things, and that includes writing. So it's a question of figuring out my self-care and actual self-care on this one, not just the happy, fluffy, bought myself some chocolate self-care. I mean the hard work of self-care before I take a crack at something like this that has been very hard on my anxiety and depression, right? Like, looking at the fact that I haven't gotten any writing done makes me feel worse, and then it's an awful cycle. I feel worse, I don't write. I feel worse because I didn't write. I don't write more. You understand what I mean? So that is definitely something I have to address going forward. I think it's going to be one of those ones where I'm going to have to ease off of myself, because in writing, honestly, these 19 goals for 2019, like, I just went for the sky on it. And sometimes you have to admit that, like, you were overly ambitious with your goals. It's okay as long as you don't beat yourself up if things don't work out perfectly. On the more positive end, our reading log is looking fantastic. We are at 28 books as of the end of June. Part of this really helped with the fact that, like, I had a readathon in there as of May 24th, and I got a few books that had been hanging around on my, like, to-read list read through. So that readathon in May really did help number-wise, and we're gonna keep pushing for our 50 book goal. It's going to be very fun. The Friday Fun Day videos seem to be doing fairly well. Had some adjustments to be made moving forward. And of course, I'm now looking at, like, the write-ups, and other than 3 much later in the year, it's one of those ones where I'm like, now I just have a big block of ones I have to figure out going into the 3rd quarter. So we will definitely, yeah, all the ones that I have an idea for are in the last quarter. So 3rd quarter, we gotta figure some of those out. Same is true with my blog posts. But again, once I get a handle on all of this, I think that's going to be a little easier. I should mention something that isn't in any of these goals, but was a fantastic piece of information to get in the 2nd quarter. I have in fact been accepted into a PhD program. This has been mentioned in a couple videos prior to this, but it is worth mentioning here as well. So moving into the end of the 3rd quarter, so September, I will be starting my program, so there will probably be some changes on that one too, and a whole lot of vlogs where I'm asking myself why I did this to myself again. Fantastic. Okay, so we've continued on the plan of going out with friends at least once a month. I've also been trying to go out myself, so we have seen a couple of movies. Again, I am really happy with the movies I've been picking to go and see. The 2 new ones from this quarter were Detective Pikachu, which I actually saw twice, once by myself and once with a friend, and Tolkien, the sort of fictionalized biopic. It's the one where it's not like a full-on biography of the dude, like it's actors and there's not a narrator, but it's from Tolkien's younger years going into World War I and dealing with all of that. And it's so cool. So, I sobbed a lot. What actually happened is I saw both Detective Pikachu and Tolkien by myself on a day that I was extremely anxious. And so I went to see Detective Pikachu. I had a Tuesday off. It turns out cheap tickets on Tuesdays are for the whole day, not just like in the evening. So I was in a very quiet theater at like 11 in the morning watching Detective Pikachu, and then I saw Tolkien and I was like, well, it's basically 2 for 1. And I went into Tolkien and sobbed a lot because it turns out, again, probably needed the catharsis. I haven't been paying attention to my mental health the way I should be, but there were some memories and some nostalgia attached there. So I was like, yep, this is what I need. So I gave both of those guys 5 out of 5 stars, with the note beside Tolkien of, oh my god, the feels. So that's fun. Note for music, I have gone ahead and treated myself to a record player. This was mentioned in the last vlog. And I managed to find some records right at the end of the quarter. So for music, I am listening to a lot of Mumford & Sons' Babel and Ed Sheeran's Divide, and a couple of random records that I picked up at a flea market, and some 45s that my mother owned. So music-wise, I'm doing good. I do want to see if I can find Panic at the Disco's newest album on vinyl, because that would be fun. But that's a future goal that is over there. And yeah, I think for the most part, that is it. Things went off the rails. Things went off the rails in good ways. Things got back on track. Things didn't get back on track. I'm figuring things out. Welcome to living life. So we're going to see how quarter 3 goes, see if we can work on any more of these goals moving forward. Again, there are a lot that are just sort of get to the end of the year doing this thing. For example, go out with friends at least once a month, keep up on the Friday videos, blog, journal, right? And then, of course, there is a question of whether NaNoWriMo is going to happen with my new program. But I'm working through some things. We're going to see if writing's going to come my way. And Tiggs has decided this video's gone on long enough. She is giving me that wrap it up kitty face of hers. So, that was quarter number 2. We're, like I said, we're figuring things out as we go. This is a learning experience and a growth opportunity. First time I've really done this, and I'm learning some lessons. So, like I said, we'll see how quarter 3 goes.